When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child. All who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had seen and heard, as it had been told them. The word of the Lord. Every year, when we gather, we always read the Christmas story. And the Christmas story is something that is, well, it feels very familiar to us. We hear it told at Christmas Eve and Christmas Day services. We hear it sung all the time on radio and in Christmas music. We see the Christmas story all around us this time of year, whether it be in holiday decorations or in Christmas cartoons or even in movies. The Christmas stories, it's around us and it feels very familiar, like we know what it's all about, right? Yet every year when I hear the Christmas story, I'm confronted with the fact that it's, well, kind of sanitized. It's a little bit watered down. It's often done this way in order to make us feel comfortable. It makes it easier to pass out and have people receive it. There's a multitude of reasons why it's done this way. And, you know, the church is even complicit in this, even in the carols that we sing. Think about this. In that carol, and I love Christmas carols, by the way. I'm not knocking Christmas carols. Two of my favorite Christmas carols are O Little Town of Bethlehem. But the first line in that is, O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee be. And I'm thinking, well, that's not true. Bethlehem is anything but still and quiet and peaceful. Bethlehem is a little village that's on an apex in the worst possible location because it has always been involved in wars its entire history. Everybody has always fought over this little village. In fact, on the night when Jesus was born, there were tens of thousands of people that were descending into this little village. So much so there was no room for everybody to stay. It was anything but a peaceful night. And then there's that song, that carol, Away in the Manger. And there's always that line in the third verse, no crying he makes, right? Come on, what little child baby does not cry? That's a bit unrealistic to think that Jesus, as a child, as a little newborn baby, wasn't crying. Of course he was crying. But we do this, I think, in order to make us feel more comfortable, to make it feel more like a Dickens story or a Norman Rockwell painting that should give us a warm, fuzzy feeling. But often the real Christmas story is very different. And the result is that the Christmas story that we see and encounter and we feel that is so familiar is often very different than the reality of our own lives or the reality of the true Christmas story. So every year at this time, I always basically try and I want to discover the real Christmas story. I always search for a new truth, a new observation, a new way of looking at the Christmas story. What was the real story? How did we really encounter it? I'm that kind of person. I always want to get to the real truth of things. And as I was thinking and contemplating about this here, I was reading a story online, and it's a story a pastor was sharing. And it's a great story. I love it. This pastor was out Christmas shopping, and he met one of his parishioners, a man and his little son. And they're doing the small talk. Hi, how are you doing? How's the holidays going? What are your plans for Christmas morning? And so the man started to explain to his pastor what he was going to do on Christmas morning. Well, they were going to get up, and they were going to open gifts, and have breakfast, and then they were going to go to church. And when he said they were going to church, his son, all of a sudden, his ears perked up, and he's like, "What do you mean go to church? We have to go to church on Christmas morning?" And his dad was like, "Well, yeah, Christmas is the birth of Jesus, and you're supposed to go and celebrate Jesus. It's his holiday." And the son was like, "Oh, man, church breaks everything." And I thought, well, at least that's a great, honest response from somebody, because a lot of times we feel like church breaks everything. But as I thought thought about that in the Christmas story, I think, well, you know, the Christmas story breaks everything. Because we tend to lead our lives in well-structured, well kind of oiled, all planned out. We've got our dreams and our goals, our vacations, and this and that, and what we want to have happen, and everything sorted out. And then oftentimes we can feel like if the Christmas story, not the sanitized version, but the real version, can come and be quite an awful intrusion onto the way our lives are. But the Christmas story, the original Christmas story, broke a lot of plans. Think about it. The nation of Israel is waiting for a Messiah, a king to be born. They had been waiting hundreds of years. They had plans. This Messiah, king, was going to lead them back into the golden ages, to throw off the yoke of the oppressive Romans, and they were going to be glorious as a nation once again. And Jesus being born in a little feeding trough in a cave in a small village, well, kind of broke those plans. It wasn't a very glorious way for a king to be born. And then there's Joseph and Mary. I'm sure, like any normal couple with normal getting married, they had all of their dreams and plans about the number of kids they were going to have and what they were going to name them and how they were going to look and what kind of schools they were going to go to and everything, because that's what parents do, right? But yet, all of a sudden now, in one moment, all their plans are broken. They don't even get to name their first child. It's done for them. Everything that they dreamed about is gone now, amidst a scandal that's going to plague them for years to come. And then there's King Herod. King Herod has plans for a glorious reign. And all of a sudden these wise men, these astrologers come, because the wise men aren't wise men, they're really astrologers and they're foreigners. They come and they ruin all of Herod's plans. And then, so Herod's got to make new plans to kill a bunch of children in order to save his glorious reign. And of course, no one pays attention to him, so he can't even do that. Plans are being ruined all the time by the Christmas story. Even today, look at the NFL. The NFL had plans for their glorious Sunday of television. And what did they have to do? They had to move most of their games to Saturday because, well, it's Christmas. In our lives, our traditions, the way we celebrate, so often, no matter how much we celebrate, no matter how much we organize our lives, here we have the Christmas story that breaks in, that intrudes, interrupts, and breaks what we had expected or happened or hoped for on a Christmas. Yesterday, during our 3 o'clock service, we had a special kind of kid-friendly interactive service. And so it was a little bit different than this morning because as I read the Christmas story, everybody was given a role. And so they were given a little stick, and everybody was either a shepherd, or they were a wise man, or they were an angel. And the people who were shepherds, every time as I told the Christmas story, they were to hold up their sign, and they were to say, whenever they heard the word shepherd, they were to hear the phrase, "Let's go see." And every time I said angels, the angels would hold up their signs, and they would sing, "Hallelujah." And whenever the wise men, I said the word wise men in the audience, whoever had one of these, there was a blue one, they would wave it and they would say, "Look, a star." And so it was a way to get everybody interacting in the Christmas service. Well, there was one young girl, she was about 3 or 4, and she was so excited to be part of the Christmas program. So every minute or minute and a half, she would raise her white card and she would say, "Let's go see." And it had nothing, it would never, not when I said shepherd, she just didn't quite get that much, but she's just so excited. So every 2 minutes she would interrupt me telling the Christmas story, and she would yell out, "Let's go see!" And it was totally adorable. And I could see her mother was just horrified, trying to keep her to calm down just a bit. But she would have none of that. She was so excited. She was going to play her part in the Christmas story. And so she kept waving, "Let's go see!" and shouting out at any moment, "Let's go see!" And I thought, well, that little girl really captured the spirit of Christmas. Because Christmas is supposed to interrupt our lives. Because too often our lives are centered around us and who we are and what we want to have happen. And we get really upset when our lives don't turn out the way we planned them. But God interrupts our lives with this incredible story of vulnerability that breaks into our lives to help us to see how much we need a Savior, how much we need God's presence, and that God so desperately wants to be part of our lives, that God is being willing to be born in the most humbling and vulnerable circumstances, in a cave, in a place where there was no room to lay him down, so that his mother, as horrified as it must have been, had to lay him down in a place, in a feeding trough for animals. God does this. God became incarnate. That's what the big word we use at this time of year. God comes and dwells among us. It's the incarnation. The incarnation didn't just stop happening 2,000 years ago. It wasn't a one-time event. Because the part of the story is that God is still living inside of us. And that Christmas incarnation, that story, is going on every day of our lives. And sometimes what we need to do is be like that little girl and allow our lives to be interrupted and to shout, "Let's go see!" And take time to look at what miracles God is doing in your life. To be like the shepherds. Allow yourself to be filled with awe and wonder the presence of God in your life. And go and see. And then tell everyone the wondrous things that God is doing. Amen?
Amen.
Let's stand for our carol of the day.